Oh, hello! Today we're going to start an interesting lesson, and it's our first lesson into JavaScript, which is what's going to start making our websites into applications. They are going to start doing things. For today, we're going to make it so we can turn on and off our lights, right, that we see here on our web page, right? So hopefully that's what you guys have. So yeah, and that's like doing something. We want to make things click and things to happen. We can't do that yet. So this is pretty powerful stuff, and then who knows? The world is our oyster. So let me just start with some introduction. So far you've always had three files here, but we never talked about one of them. We've had index.html, that's where we put our index.html, our HTML code. We have our style.css, where we put our CSS. And we're going to put our script here in this script file. And the script file is where we put our JavaScript. All right? See how we're just separating our different languages into files? You don't have to, but it's just good to organize your code that way. Now the first thing you should do is write this in your code. And it was already there, but whatever. You just console log hey. And the reason I do this is to just check to make sure that my JavaScript and my HTML file are linked up to each other. So let's go and try it. So what you should do is go to show your page, and oh, that's already there. But what you do is you go to open, you go to inspect, console, and you see right here it says hey. And it says on script JS1, that means on line 1, it console logged hey. Console.log means write to the console. So that's working, okay? So that means that it is connected. And the reason that's important is because sometimes your JavaScript's not going to work, and sometimes just because you didn't connect the two. And that connection comes right here. You have to have this. It says script, and it says this tag right here is saying, hey, I want to connect some JavaScript, and it's in this file called script.js. If we were to delete this out or comment it out, you would see here that that goes away, right? Because it no longer is connected to my index.html. So it's very important that you have this at the bottom of your code. People usually put it right above their body. And that's step one, just to make sure that your JavaScript works. All right, now what we want to do is, our goal is to make it so we can click this light and have it turn off. That would be our first goal. So let me just show you a few things first. All right. The first thing you do to make that light click is you'd have to store this light, this divider, in a JavaScript variable. And the way we do that is we say let light bulb 1. And what I've done here is I've declared a variable. You declare variables by first saying the word let, all right, and then you make a name for it. You call this anything. You call this your mom, cat face, Pedro, who cares? It makes sense to name your variables, though, what they're going to have to do with. So this is lightbulb1, that's the name of my variable, and then you set it equal to something. What I want to store in this variable, because what we do is we store things in variables, is basically this div. I want to store it in this div. I want to bring it in here. So what you do is you say document, which means refer to the HTML document, all right, dot query selector. And just so you know what this means I want you, the word query means search for the selector. All right, and the selector we're searching for is whatever this ID is, right? We're searching for this lightbulb1. And we can copy and paste that if you're ever, just copy it. And I want you to do hashtag, boom. And so just to put this together, we've created a variable called lightbulb1. And inside of it, we stored what was inside the HTML document. And what we're looking for, what's stored inside, is anything with the selector, hashtag lightbulb1, or the ID of lightbulb1. So let's try console logging this and seeing what's actually stored in lightbulb1. So I'm going to console.log lightbulb1. If we go back here, what you see is first I get hey, because that's still there. And you see what's right here. This is actually that div of lightbulb1. It's stored in that variable. Cool. And I just want to show you there's some other things you can console log. One's if I console log this. Okay, let's put this back. Oops. Let's console log this. Console.log lightbulb1.id. And before you actually look at what it is, take a guess of what you think is going to pop up on the screen. What do you think is going to be console logged? Remember, lightbulb1 is that div, right? It's that little piece of HTML that we were working with. And we're going to say .id. What will be there? Well, let's look. look, it says light bulb 1, which is the ID of that div, right? So this is the div that's stored in the variable, and this is the ID of that div, light bulb 1. See how that works? Here's another thing we could do. We could say this, console.log light, if I could type that would be great, bulb 1 dot class list. And once again, take a guess of what you think will come out of, oops, that should be capital. What do you think is going to be there when we take a look? What do you think is going to be on our console? Well, let's see. Hey popped up, that piece of the HTML that we stored in the variable, the ID, and this is what on line 6, script.js line 6, just so you remember, this is what's consoled on line 6 of our code, that's what it's referring to, is a list. And look, it says item, lightbulb, and active. And if you look here, the classes that are there are item, lightbulb, and active. Those are the 3 things stored there. Whoa, that's crazy. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that are actually contained inside of this variable that you might not be aware of. All right, the next thing we want to do is make it so when we click this, it actually turns off. We want to make our light bulbs clickable. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say lightbulb1 dot add event listener. Remember, capitalization matters. And what this means is it's going to wait for an event. It's listening for an event from the user. And the event, the first thing you put in is the event you're listening for. So we're going to listen for a click. So when someone clicks on this div, so that's the div, and we're going to say wait for this something to happen. We're going to wait for a click. Right? You can put other things over here. You can do like mouse over, you know, like when someone mouses over it, hover. There's all sorts of different things. You can Google it. But we're waiting for a click. That's the event we're listening for. And the second thing you put is what do you want to happen when the user clicks? And the way we do that is parentheses, equal sign, arrow, and then these curly braces. It should look just like this. And what this right here is called an anonymous function. I know that sounds fancy, but really this just means what do you want to happen when the user clicks? Okay, so the first thing is what do you want to happen? And then we say, sorry, what we're listening for a click, and then what we want to happen. So when this user clicks the button, something easy we could do is just say this. We want console log the word you clicked me. All right, and let's see if this works. So everything's still showing up here as before, but look what happens when I click the button. Whoa, see, and it tells me how many times I clicked it. That means the button's working. It's listening for a click, and when I click it, it runs that function that console logs you clicked me. But that's not what I want to happen. What I want to happen is for it to turn off. And I just want you to look at this HTML. Why do you think this one is on and these two are off? Well, if you said it's because it has this class of active, you're right. And if you went to the style.css, you would see there is a class of active, and that's what turns the background white, makes it a little bit bigger, and does some other things. But active is what's turning that different. If you took this out, if you removed it, you would see that they're all the same. So if you remove this, you'd see they're all the same, right? So active is what has it lit up. So we need to take this out using JavaScript to make it turn off. And you can do that pretty easily by just saying lightbulb1 dot class list dot remove. So we're removing something from that class list. And then what do we want to remove? The name of the class that we want to remove is active. So if we take a look here, so if we go back here, watch what happens. Boom, turns off, right? It removed that class, so it's no longer active. But actually, I want it to come back, right? Don't we think that like every time we click it, it should like go on and off? Well, that's pretty easy to do, and that's what we're going to do with our second light bulb here. Actually, let's just do it to our first light bulb. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to change this slightly. So instead of remove active, what we're going to do is this thing called toggle. And toggle, I'm not sure if you know this, but toggle means to like go between two states. It's like to go from off to on or on to off. So toggle just means when we click it, we're either going to add active or take it away. So if active is already there, it'll take it off. If it's not there, it'll add it on. So toggle switches the state. All right. So if you go back here and we try this again, off, on. You see it's toggling between on and off now. Sweet. What I'd like you to try to do, I'm going to take a second, is I'd like you to try, without watching the video, to make the second light bulb here also be able to turn off and on. You want to toggle it. Okay? So try toggling the second one. Oh, and I'm sorry, pause the video and see if you can do it on your own. And when you come back, I'll show you how to do it. Alright, the code will just instantly appear. But try to pause the video now. Try to do it on your own. And let's see if you got this to work. So the first one works. So we got the first one working and the second one toggling. Let's see if you got this. So what you should have done is made a second variable, lightbulb2. You can call it whatever you want. And for this one, you should have done document.querySelector hashtag lightbulb2, which is the ID of the second one. Then lightbulb2.addEventListener, where we're listening for a click. And when the user clicks, we're going to run a function. And what we're going to do is take lightbulb2, go to the class list, and also toggle active. And that's how you do it for the second one. And also, just to be clear, you don't actually need that console log there either. If you had it in, great, but it's just a way of testing your buttons. Alright, and for our last part of this video, what I'd like to do is show you how to make other things happen. Like right now we're toggling something that exists, but how about this one? For the third one, what I want to do is that for lightbulb 3, instead of making it active, I just want to turn the background red, or just come up with something else. And I want to show you the steps for doing that. So I'm going to be a little bit lazy on this one. I'm actually going to do a little bit of copying and pasting, because why reinvent the wheel? So for lightbulb 3, we're going to change this to lightbulb 3. And this is a 3 here, right? And once again, you can call this anything you want. We'll just name it that. And lightbulb 3 is the ID of that third light bulb. And then I'm going to copy and paste this. And change this from lightbulb 2 to lightbulb 3. We're going to add an event listener. It's going to be click. All right. We're going to say you clicked the third one. And let's just make sure this works. Before doing anything else, it's always good to just test your JavaScript. Don't get too crazy with things. That leads to errors. Check to see if this works. So when you click the third one, yeah, you click the third one. Third one spelled wrong too. So I'm also going to edit that. Alright, so let's say I want something crazy to happen. Let's say I actually just want to turn the background of that div to red. Well, here's the deal. To turn the background of this one to red, if you were to do this manually, what we would do is we'd make a class called red. You'd have to create it. So let's say we made a class called red. Then we'd have to, in our index, create a class called red. So we'll go to .red. And what red will do is we'll turn the background red. So that's how we would do it manually. See how that one's red now? But if we want to do it through JavaScript, let's take that out. We still need to create the class of red. This needs to exist, right? That didn't exist before. We'll call it red. And then through JavaScript, what we'll do is we'll say lightbulb3.classList.toggle. And for this one, we want to toggle the class of red. So that means it'll add and subtract red from that class list. So let's see if this works. So right now, first one works, second one works, third one turns red, takes off red. And you can do this for other kinds of classes. Let's say you want to make the font size bigger, right? I've already done it here, but I'm going to delete it out. So what you could do is let's say we also want that light bulb to get bigger when we click it. Well, let's just make a new class. We'll say bigger. I'm just making this up. All right. Create any class you want. We'll say the font size. We're going to make it to 200 pixels now. Okay. And then we just have to add it on also. So we'll say lightbulb3.classList.toggle. And what we called that was bigger. So we can add that bigger class whenever we want. So now when we click it, two things will happen. It'll turn red and it'll get bigger. So let's see. You cannot toggle a property of undefined. That means I spelled something wrong. So let's see. ClassList.toggle. Yep, there's a spelling error. Help me find it. I spelled class wrong. No L. That makes sense. Errors happen all the time. So once again, boom, there we go. That's looking pretty cool. Anyway, I hope you learned a lot from this lesson about JavaScript. You have a exercise to do now. That's it. And kiss your mom. Bye!